first of all, thank y'all for coming. It really means a lot to us, and I think especially once we started adding in the media VP, just makes it a little bit more fun, and give y'all a chance. Maybe if you haven't been around the sport of softball a lot, come and see what it's like, maybe the pitching and BP a little bit up close. And but a good chance, I think, to experience, and for us especially this year, to show off our facility and what we've been able to do and utilize with this new building that we built. But we're really excited about it. I think very thankful to be in this field house, especially after kind of being homeless last year, and excited about the upcoming season. Obviously last season we didn't finish the way we'd hoped, and we could sit here, I could sit here and make excuses, whether it's blaming not having a place to go or the injuries, but bottom line, we had the talent and we underperformed. So that's really been a driving force for this team for the last couple months, ever since we finished up in the end of the season. And I think really excited about this group. This senior class has been a huge part of that, and just getting the culture and the expectations back up to where we expect them to be. And taking that seriously, a lot more time just developing the relationships within the team and with the coaching staff has been a lot of what we've been doing, as well as everything else we're doing between the lines. But excited about this group. We've got a good mix of underclassmen. I've got 2 top 10, top 15 ranked freshman and sophomore classes we finally have in here, mixed in with my 5th-year seniors, who's our last group of COVID kids who've really been on the field and been starters for us for most of them 4 or 5 years. So excited about the chance to get them out there. We've got a lot of good battles going on at different positions. And then with the pitching staff, the addition of Coach Taryn Moat McKinney has been another big part for us. I think she brings a little bit of an edge that was great for our pitching staff, and just what she's done through her experience as not only a coach but a player. She has the experience at the highest level. She's played and coached the World Series and World Series pitchers, and that's the goal, and that's what we're working for. And for her to bring in just that mindset, that competitiveness that she has and has played with her whole career, has been really fun to watch, particularly our upperclassmen like Aspen Wesley learn from, and excited to see them put it together on the field. And yeah, just looking forward to getting this group back on the field. I know we're tired of facing each other in scrimmages, and we're about 2 weeks out, so we're getting close. But any questions or anything else I can answer, please let me know.
If y'all raise your hands, and when I call on you, if you'll introduce yourself to Coach, because I know we have a lot of new faces, but we'll start with Steve.
Steve Robertson with Jeans Page at 247. NIL is an evolving thing, and you've had some young ladies who've had some success with that. How does that parlay over on the recruiting side of things? I mean, is it part of your pitch now and say, hey, if you come in here and you do well, you have opportunities, or is that part of your pitch?
It's definitely something that's discussed. Just in today's landscape of college athletics, it's brought. We make sure to discuss it in the recruiting process, but it's also something that they're asking about. And I think, with what we've seen, particularly Brylie St Clair, Riley Hull's another player of ours who has a really good following and has really built her brand. I think the message for us is that you can be successful with NIL, and you can build your brand in Starkville and at Mississippi State. And part of that small town charm of Starkville with the big time athletics gives them that stage. And to see what Briley's been able to do and just really build their following, and it's not easy, and it may look all shiny and great from the outside, but that's social media, and that's also something we talk about with them. And so making sure we have the resources in place, and the legal side of it, compliance side, and just giving her resources of how to navigate just this landscape of what she's having to do, and what a lot of them are hoping to do, and continuing to build their brand in NIL. But I think it's great, especially for women's athletics, and I think we've been able to utilize it to be in a way that NIL was really meant for. And it's a lot of local deals and boutiques in towns and inside Starkville, and just people that want Mississippi State to be great, and not so much the pay to play that you see at the big time level of NIL. But for us, I think using it at a local level and getting them involved with local businesses, and helping them kind of make those connections in town and really at the national level has been a huge part of what we've been able to do.
We'll go to Steph in the back.
Steph, our question with the player ledger. You talked about last offseason, you guys were coming off the momentum of the super regional and trying to build off of that, and then you talked about kind of the chip on the shoulder of this year's team. How different has the approach been, this offseason, and kind of the mentality that this team has compared to the one coming into last season?
It's been a very focused mentality, and I think that's part of the dangers you see behind success. After the super regional run, it's that doesn't come easy. It's not handed to you every year, and we have to work like we did to get to that point again. And I think maybe if we had made postseason last year, it maybe wouldn't have been as focused as it was, but it really just drove some tough conversations, and just some really focused practices, and we started the week after, and just building the relationships and the stuff we were able to do and get kids back in town, so they were, working out with the strength coach, utilizing this building as fast as they could. But I think it really did something just for the culture of this team, and just the idea of, we know that's not us, and we're going to go out there not to prove people wrong, but to prove ourselves right. And I think that's really been the mindset and how we've been approaching it.
Come over here on the left.
Jason Williams with WTVA down in Tupelo. How would you say this, being in a new building, having a new field house, how has your senior team just adapt to being in here and have them improve being in a new field house?
It really, it's been exactly what we'd hoped for. And we see them in here all the time. They're coming in early, they're staying late, they're coming on the weekends. And, they've asked, like, can I come at 10 o'clock at night when I can't sleep and I just want to get some swings in? And absolutely. And it was built with the student athlete in mind, kind of a one-stop shop for everything they would possibly need for us to be successful. So there's no coaches' offices, there's no booster space. It is all for them. Training, a new wet room with the cold tub, obviously the batting cages, the machines, it's all set up so they can come in. They don't even need the coaches to utilize it. And I think the biggest thing we've seen is the extra work, and getting back to just that idea that everything we do matters, and we have to really put in the extra work, and what we do just in our 20 hours of the week at practice isn't going to be enough to take us where we want to go. And just, I think that driving force and getting in the right types of players who buy into that has been a big difference. But I'd say the biggest thing I see is just them in here all the time utilizing it, and then being able to, the little things, they're running from class to practice and they can fuel the right way, they can recover. We've got refueling station right here, everything's labeled pre-post practice, whether it's a protein, carb, anything they're looking for from a nutritionist, it's just all right at their fingertips for them to use.
Tanner Marler, Maroon and White Daily on 3 Sports. You talked about these COVID seniors and a lot of the older leadership you've got on this team. How have you seen them kind of mentor these younger classes that, like you said, have been top 10, top 15, that are probably coming in expecting to play as early as possible?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been really, I think for them, they've grown so much in their 5 years and how much they've matured through the process. And I think for them, they want to make their last season their best season and continue to leave their mark on this program and leave it better than they found it. And I think that's their goal, and they know that by a freshman pushing them at their position, it's just going to make the program better as well. And they want to make sure they're prepared, whether it's splitting time this year or for them to step in and fill their role next year. But we've seen some interesting battles and some people in positions that maybe you wouldn't be used to, if you watch us closely. And I think it's, I think just that the competition is just going to make us even better. And I think that's ultimately what we've been working for. And I've seen it a lot at shortstop. That's been a huge battle for us. Madison Kennedy, she's started every game at shortstop since her freshman year, and this is year 5. And I've got a really good freshman shortstop in Kylie Edwards that's out there pushing her. And Maddie's been banged up. She had off-season surgery, so for her, she couldn't really practice all fall. So it was a lot of teaching and having to take a role a little bit more backseat and make sure that Kylie understood the pace of this game and being the field general at shortstop. Seen it there, seen it in the outfield with Brylie St Clair, Paige Cook. I think they've done a great job as well. And then definitely in the bullpen with Aspen Wesley and Mata Fa'apito. They've been really teaching these young freshmen and making sure that they're ready to take on some innings for us.
Go to Jack on the right.
Yeah, Jack Byers, MSC Communications. I just want to go back to the new facilities. When we were back there, we got to see a lot of the cool new technology that y'all have. How have you and your coaching staff, as well as some of your players, been able to just take advantage of that technology that y'all have?
Yeah, it's been great to have it just immediately and right at our fingertips. And the purpose of the TVs and the technology right behind them in the cages and with us all the time is for immediate feedback. And we really believe in the tighter the feedback loop, the quicker we're going to pick up on these skills and be able to make adjustments. And I think one thing we've been able to do with this new field house has been really to kind of customize their training. And because we're able to track so much, so often and so quickly, we can customize what each hitter is working on. So they each might have a goal up on the TV, they can fill it in, and we're tracking, we'll make them competitions. But I think just being able to individualize a little bit better and also track. But for myself and for us as a coaching staff, a big part of it as well is what we're doing working. With the numbers, they're not going to lie. So taking them through a 3-week phase, and then we retest and see, okay, did we get better or did we not? and being able to see are the numbers improving and going the direction we want. We do it offensively, we do it with our pitching staff, we do it in the weight room. Just trying to track as much as we can. One thing we added in this year was a WHOOP sensor, which is all about recovery. So it's tracking their sleep, their strain, their recovery scores, which is going to be huge for us in season as well. But especially having so many older players, you know, the sleep and what they're doing when they leave here is just as big as what they're doing in the weight room or the cage too.
Go in the middle, Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin Rosenberg, the Commercial Dispatch. Last year, you guys really, did a nice job distributing the innings evenly among 4, even 5 pitchers, definitely a by committee approach. Is that going to be, the plan again this year, or you have 1 or 2 who will really more step up and take control?
I think we definitely have 2 that I would say we'll see a lot, and that's Aspen Wesley and Josey Marron. And Josey, as a freshman last year, had some pretty big innings for us. Had a little bit of an injury in SEC play, but she was one that stayed here this summer to rehab and just get back even stronger than she was before. I'd say they're probably our 2 frontline starters. But we like to use the staff, especially just in the conference that we're playing in. You can't just really sit and pitch one arm anymore. And I think that's where a lot of the others provide good relief inning roles. But we're not afraid to maybe go one time through with an opener, kind of a little bit baseball style. Bring in somebody, and then maybe you finish the game with your best arm and put Aspen Wesley out there. But to me, she's really one that's stepped up even more, and I think maybe we underutilized her last year by going so much by committee, so I think hopefully we can get her some more innings, some big-time innings for this program. Lexi Sosa, the transfer from UCLA, she's one that didn't play last year, but she's starting to get back to where she was as a player, especially on the mound. It took her a little bit of time, but I think her and Coach T have really worked on getting her sharper, and I think she could get in there and get some significant innings as well. And then Mata's a great reliever for us, and the 2 freshmen just provide a really different look. So they might be ones that we kind of ease in, put them in situations where they can be successful, let them figure this out a little bit. But Delaney's a hard-throwing lefty, and Hosanna hard drop balls. And they're both probably the hardest throwers on our team, and they could mix and match with the upperclassmen and kind of take some time off of them and just, maybe so we're not so much up in the zone, mix it up and get us some ground balls. So I think we'll see a little bit of everyone, all 6 of them, but definitely those first 2 we're going to see quite a bit.
We'll come down front right with Grace.
Gracie Barra with WCBI. If I'm not mistaken, last year when we toured this was where you guys wrote your names, right, on the steps, and I'm just thinking back to that, I guess, what does that mean to you as a coach to be able to lay the foundation for this new era of Mississippi State softball and have those little details build the culture of what you have?
Yes, we wrote every name of all the alumni that have been through this program, and it was the idea of my director of operations, Jamie Desport, which we just really loved. And it was, yes, it's shiny, it's new, but we wanted to make sure that we honored the people that helped us get here. When you think of Mia Davidson and why her face is on the wall over there, she's a big part of this program going to where it had been in that super regional. Annie Willis, Montana Davidson, the same way. And just continuing to do our part and leave this program better than they found it for all of us, coaching staff and players. We know at some point everybody's time ends within a program, and we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, respecting and honoring them. And we have so many just great alumni, I think, that come back and still support us, so we wanted to do that. We've got some pictures of them around the building as well. But it's something for us. We take the family word seriously within this program and continuing to honor them and let them feel like they have a place to come home, even if it is a building maybe they've never been in.
Stay on the front right.
Doug Kyle, College Softball Central. Coach, you've talked about different facets of the team, but what do you feel are the strengths of your team, and are there some challenges you're still working through?
Yeah, I think the strength really is how much the time they put in to come together. And I think just the culture piece of it, I know it may sound cliche, but it's something that we took very seriously and just building up our foundation again. And we felt like it was broken last year, and we felt like there was just some pieces that weren't working, and so we wanted to really make sure that we repaired those relationships and got it to a place where everybody could trust each other to call each other out and hold each other accountable and ask for more. We know if we want to go where we've never been before, we have to do something at practice we've never done before. So I think the focus and the relationship and the culture piece has been a huge strength for us this past season. Even this past week, I've seen it show up, and just they had a fitness or a run day on Wednesday, and then the practice yesterday, just phenomenal, that I haven't seen before out of this program. So just trying to keep that, and stacking wins is a big part of it. Those are little things that we can build off of as we go through the season. I think the challenge is it's just the experience of it all. And it's very easy to, when the underdog role comes in or people are going to count us out, to fall into that trap, and just keeping them focused on the people in this room and the work that we put in as we go through the season, because there's ups and downs of every part of it.
We'll go to the back left.
Hey, Coach Brylie Davis with WAPT Sports in Jackson. It's good to meet you.
Hey.
So you mentioned the experience on this team, but also how this season you're taking a different approach. So I guess how much are you drawing on the experience from the players that were on that super regional team, talking to some of the younger players, and how much are you trying to kind of flip a new page and take a new mindset into a completely different year?
It definitely takes some blending, and I think that's part of it, is those upperclassmen using their experiences to help teach. And we're kind of in the middle of this process right now. I'm having each senior address the team as we lead up to season, just what they learned over their 5 years and what they want for the team for the season and for these next few months that we have. But it's been honestly probably more talking than we've done ever before, and just really coming together in that way. But a lot of teaching, I think, is a big part of it. And if the expectations are the same, they have to be taught, and the standards, and what's going to mean the most to us. What are our goals, and how do we get there? What's that look like? But I think they've done a good job of really welcoming them. We don't ever want to treat freshmen like they're beneath anyone. They're just as big of a part of this program as the freshmen, or as the upperclassmen, the seniors. So I think one of the best things they've done is just include them and build those friendships with them. And our message to the seniors is really, you've got 1 year with this class, and how are they going to remember you after you graduate?
Come down front left to Danny. We've got time for just a few more.
Dan Smith, Starkville Daily News. Coach, another step this program's taken this year is charging and selling season tickets for the first time. Just talk about that step and any feedback you may have, or how receptive have people been to that.
Yes, we're very excited to be selling season tickets this year, and I think for us, just having the opportunity to do our part to grow the sport and to help continue to grow women's athletics. And I think for us it's important. It's important to me as a head coach, and it's important for our athletes that they see that they're valued, and that we can put an actual value on our game and get people out here. And we know it's going to take some time, but I think what it allows us to do now, one, is really understand who's coming to our games. Before that we had no data, we had no numbers coming in of who was coming, where were they coming from, how often. And now we're going to be able to maybe reach out to specific groups. We can partner with local facilities or rec programs or teams, and we can use group sales or just any sort of tickets and tournaments going on in the area. I think the Cornerstone Park opening up is going to be a big part of that as well. And the partnerships within the community, I think, is going to help us build our fan base. And for us, we feel like we appreciate it and we recognize when we've got a packed stadium. And so we want to do our part to help get people here and put on a good show. But I think ultimately what we're doing is just trying to do our part with women's athletics.
We got time for one more. We'll go back to Steph.
We've seen the sport, grow so much the last few years, and obviously the investment that's being made in it, here at State. Well, when you look at the landscape of college softball, where do you feel like State's put itself in a spot to kind of compete as the sport continues to grow and other schools continue to invest?
Yeah, it definitely has. It's a growing sport, especially when you look at just the viewership from TV, and I think that's a huge part of it as well. That's the more eyes we get, and what we get, especially in our postseason at the World Series, just continues to help elevate us and get us primetime TV spots. And getting softball on ABC the last few years, it's huge, and it's something that we want to continue to fight for. And kind of off topic, but a big part of that is making sure that we can fit in these TV time slots. And I think we've changed the rules of our game a little bit to help continue to grow it, and trying to work with TV and with what our goals are as a sport with all of it. I think at Mississippi State, the investment in softball and in women's athletics is a big part of it. It shows that we are going to be valued, and then it's our part to take advantage of what we've been given and put in that work. And we know from the outside what the thought is always going to be of our program, and when you get rankings and all that stuff, and we don't care about it. We know what we do, and we know we show up every day to work hard, and we want to respect that and respect each other with it. But I think we can continue to just honor this program and the ones who've come before it, and do what we can every day, and that's just to raise the bar for future teams. And if you had asked us that 22 season, we thought we might have overachieved a little bit, but last year we underachieved with the talent we have. So just trying to find, I think, the consistency is going to be the next step for us, so that it's not so kind of up and down. And I think that's where maybe at the national level it'll take over a little bit, but for right now we're just focused on the ones in this room and proving ourselves right every day.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming.
Just talking about the kind of different approach this team has, this offseason, coming off an underperforming season compared to one where you guys were coming off a super regional. Just how have you felt this team kind of had maybe a chip on the shoulder approach, coming into a season where you're expected to finish for the bottom of the SEC?
I definitely think that we're using that as to drive us and push us. We've been working hard and just doing everything that we possibly can to help prepare us for the season. Yeah, everybody's counting us out, but we know what we've been doing. We know the work that we've been putting in, and we want to prove people wrong this season.
Tanner?
Paige, Coach talked a little bit about the new facilities and everything here, but you've been with the program to this point where you've seen everything from what the facility used to look like to now.
Mm-hmm.
What's that change been like for you?
It's definitely insane, just seeing where it started to now, because I committed here in 2015, so I also committed when News Park was being renovated. So the whole field, compared to then to now, insane. It's amazing, the opportunity that we have to get to use facilities and have these very nice facilities that maybe others might not have, and just seeing how much we've grown as a team and having this beautiful facility, it's amazing. So.
Go back in the back.
Hey Paige, Brylie Davis with WAPT Sports in Jackson. Good to meet you. So you, Coach mentioned how she's really relying on you upperclassmen to help this team get back and to even go further than y'all did in 2022. Can you just talk about kind of that pressure that's on your shoulders and how you've been dealing with that and trying to get the team where it wants to be?
Well, I mean, as upperclassmen, I don't necessarily think that there's a certain pressure, because we've been put in those type of situations basically every single year we've been here. So just basically just keeping the same mentality of pushing and working hard, and bringing these underclassmen up with us and getting them that work in as well, and getting them that experience, and just help guiding them and telling them that it's okay to fail. Just instead of putting all that pressure on us and be like, oh my gosh, we can't fail. We have to do something. And instead of putting all that pressure on us, just taking it game by game and doing what we know how to do, and just take advantage of all the work that we've put into it.
Ben?
Yeah, as you've played all over the diamond a little bit over the last few years. Have you, what the conversation's been like this year as to what your role is going to be defensively, and you've gotten pretty comfortable, it seems like, in the infield, outfield, all over the place.
We haven't really necessarily talked about my role for the team this year. I mean, if I'm given the opportunity at whatever spot or position, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can for my team. So if they want me in the infield, they want me in the outfield, no matter what, I'm gonna give it my all. So I'm gonna try to keep my bat hot and just put my body out on the line whatever position I'm at.
You're talking about, the ballpark, the facilities you guys have here now. I mean, what has it meant for y'all to, that have been here for a while and played in Mississippi State, to kind of have that investment from the athletic department and see the way, this has grown from the time you got here?
It definitely means a lot just seeing how our sport has grown over the years, because we have all that support behind us now. Because when we started out, we didn't really have all the recognition that we do now. Just seeing all the media and basically the backbone of our program, people just supporting us all the way. It definitely means a lot to us in this program, and seeing how much it's grown over the years.
Tanner?
And you talked about you committing back in 2015. You've also seen the recruiting dynamic here at State, as far as softball goes, change a lot. What have you seen, especially in these last 2 years, that might have been able to lead to these really, really solid classes you guys have been able to bring in?
Oh goodness. Definitely like with how our performance was, like going to super regionals. I definitely put that put a spotlight on us as well. I think just the environment at Mississippi State and with the coaches and the team has helped grow this program and brought more recruits in. Especially this brand new facility, that's definitely going to put us out on the map with other recruits coming in as well.
Anything else for Paige, Steph?
Coach talked about, the super regional year, feeling like maybe, that team overachieved and last year's team kind of underachieved, and she wants to kind of get it to a place where it's more consistent. I guess, what do you feel is the next step to be a more consistent program?
Really just buying into what they have us doing every single day. We know all the work that we've put in, and I feel like we might not have realized how good that we really are, and we kind of just we played more in a defense mode instead of on the attack. I feel like this year we're gonna use that to our advantage and just come out on the attack as soon as we start playing.
Okay. Anything else for Paige? Okay, thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We've asked everybody about the new facility. Obviously, what do you think about obviously being able to see the program from what it was when you committed and started to now?
I honestly just think like we're very blessed to have this facility and have all the accesses that we do now. So when I first came on a visit here, first committed here, the locker room was actually in a different place than the old locker room was in. And so like just seeing that transition from the old building, the new stadium to this has just been like so fun to watch, and I'm so happy that I got to be a part of it.
Steph?
Brylie, Coach talked about, the mentality that this team has had compared to the one that was coming off the super regional. I guess, what have you learned, about this team in the offseason and kind of the approach you guys have going into this year?
So this team is actually one of the closest teams that I've ever been a part of. I feel very comfortable around all these girls. We really are like a band of sisters. And previous years, we've had ups and downs. You've always been like close to everybody, but this year is just like a completely different dynamic from the ground up. We're all extremely close. We love being around each other, and I think that translates to the field by us like wanting to play for each other, wanting to do good for each other. So I just think that the relationships that we've built this year is very important for the success of our season.
Cam?
Do you think those kind of relationships that you have in that tight-knit group, how does that help you guys maybe when you're going through an SEC gauntlet where, there's going to be some ups and downs? How's that make y'all stay level and just keep y'all focused?
So, obviously a perfect season would be ideal, but, like we're going to have ups and downs. You're going to face trials and tribulations, and I think it's just we are so close, and we are, like, we can have those tough conversations with each other without getting upset, because we're girls, and without getting upset with each other, and we really respect each other and respect what everyone has to say, and so it's a very good environment.
Steph?
Coach was talking a bit about, the way NIL and social media, things like that have grown, in college softball. What's that experience kind of been like for you, and how have you learned to kind of balance that while also, balancing preparing for a season and playing games and things of that nature?
It hasn't always been easy, so I feel like NIL was just kind of thrown at us, and it was this new thing, this new concept, and it's been fun. There's definitely been some challenges, but it's very rewarding.
Dylan?
Brylie, you guys start off the season with a couple of tournaments all the way across the United States. How does it feel for you to be able to go and travel to these different places as a veteran for this team?
I'm super excited to go to Mexico and obviously California too. So we all pretty much grew up playing in California and PGF. That's where the primary tournaments are for travel softball. But I'm super excited to go to Mexico, and especially with everybody here, I think that it's going to be fun. And I hope that we go and win some ball games.
Benjamin?
I'm not sure what I definitely have something.
Bradley? We can come back if we need to. Bradley?
Hi, Bradley Davis, WAPT Sports in Jackson. It's good to meet you. So you mentioned how this is the closest team you've ever been a part of. Can you go a little bit more into that? Do you have any examples or anything this past season that kind of just shows how tight knit this group is compared to previous seasons?
Yeah, I think like, off the field, there's so many things that you can talk about off the field about how we spend time together, we go do activities with each other, but what really sticks out to me is the locker room and how we're in the locker room and it's a fun environment, it's enjoyable, there's no negativity, there's no like talking behind each other's backs, there's none of that. Like I feel like that's very common in sports and in any sport you always get that. But this year that's not something that we've really faced. And then on the field, it feels like, yes, it's a competition and everybody is competing against each other for positions, but it's a very wholesome competition. And you feel like, yeah, I'm competing with this person for this competition, but they're my biggest supporter and they want me to do as good as they want themselves to do, so it's just like a very good environment to be around.
Come back to Benjamin.
Yeah. So when you guys see these preseason projections, whether it's the conference coaches or people like us in the media, having you guys finishing at or near the bottom of the conference, is that something you don't pay a lot of attention to, or is that more like bulletin board material? Helps fuel your guys' fire.
Yeah, so I feel like you can definitely look at it a couple of different ways, but for me personally, nobody knows the work that we put in. Like we're the only people that know what we're doing at 6:30 in the morning in the weight room, what we're coming in here at practice and we're getting done and we're accomplishing and we're doing together. So I think that it's just kind of like outside noise, like people are always going to have something to say, but they don't genuinely know all the work that you put in for success.
Steph?
What have kind of been your thoughts on the way the sport has grown, the last few years of, whether it be social media or, games on ESPN, ABC, and viewership going up? What's it been like watching college softball as a whole kind of grow and try to compete in that landscape?
So I actually started getting recruited when I was, I want to say 13 or 14. So I've seen college softball just kind of hit this big transformation into what it is now, and it's continuing to grow, and so that's so nice, and it's so nice to know that we've kind of paved that way for the girls that get to come after us. But just getting to watch how much the game has grown has been so enjoyable, and it's been so rewarding to be able to see I want to say the college softball, the World Series had tons of viewers, and I don't really remember the correlation between it and baseball, but just seeing how much it's grown and people enjoy watching softball, and obviously that means so much to us because we've spent our entire lives to get to this point.
Go to Dylan or Jack. Sorry.
I want to go back to the new facility. Obviously, you have a lot of technology that just right at your fingertips. I just want to know what your impressions of that been like, and how have you and your teammates just kind of taken advantage of that?
There's hardly ever going to be a time that you come into this facility and there is not somebody in here putting in work. And whether that's individually, whether that's practice, whether that's them sitting in there utilizing the couches, doing homework, or hanging out with each other. And I think that obviously I said before, we're very blessed to have this facility and have all the amenities that come with it. And and I think this is a place that people actually want to be. They want to come here. I don't want to go home and sit on my couch. I'd rather be here, So it's just we're very lucky to have something that's this nice.
You talked about, the girls that come after you, you guys in your group. You guys have brought in 2 really solid freshman classes. Is there anybody out of those 2 groups, especially the new one, that has stood out to you?
I feel like they have all honestly stood out in their individual ways. But I think this freshman class as a whole has really stood out to me because they came in with a fire. And that's just not something that you see. You kind of see freshmen and they're timid and, kind of passive. But this freshman class really came in with a fire and a grit that I haven't seen really much with a freshman class. There's been individual girls that have came in with that mentality, but I feel like this entire freshman class has that mentality, and that's really nice to see that they can just get in there and pick right up where we're at.
Anything else for Brylie? Okay. Thank you, Brylie.
Thank y'all.
Josey, just talk about this year's pitching staff and how you see it coming together.
Yeah, so we have a mix of returners from last year, and me, Aspen, and Mata, and then the other half, we have 2 freshmen and Lexi, a transfer from UCLA, and I really think this year we complement each other really well. We all specialize in something different and bring something different to the table, and I can confidently say you could put each pitcher on the staff in any situation and they would be successful.
Benjamin?
What was it like for you pitching as a freshman in the SEC, and how did you feel like you sort of got comfortable with that level of competition as the season went along?
Yeah, the experience piece was huge. I mean, as a freshman coming in, everything's brand new. You're new to not only college, but then college softball and playing on such a big platform. And I feel like you don't fully realize that you're playing on such a big stage until you get to the SEC. And that was when I think I found the most experience, is when we got in front of those big crowds and we're playing teams that, you know, you're playing them 3 times in a weekend, and just how can you learn not only throughout every game but through every at bat. And so that's been huge to take over to this year and learn from freshman year.
Steph?
What do you feel like you learn as well about, you know, an off season in college, and kind of, you know, how important the months leading up to the season are?
Yeah, preparation is huge in college compared to travel ball or high school ball or whatever. And here, watching film is huge, and studying hitters, and that starts in the off season. You know, we've been doing it all fall, and since we gotten back, just studying charts and seeing where we're most successful and what we need to work on. That way, we're comfortable using that information once the season actually does start.
Tanner?
Talk a little bit about your off season. Coach said you stayed here over summer to get right after getting a little bit banged up during SEC play. What was that kind of process like for you?
Yeah, well, obviously as an athlete, having to sit out due to injury is really, really tough. And I made a commitment to myself after last season that I was going to do everything that I possibly could to make sure I wasn't getting banged up or missing games again. And I also think that helped a ton just with building relationships with other players. And we talk about all the time, it's a big team, like you're not going to be close with everyone on the team, but staying over the summer, Kat Wallace and Selena Daniel were also here, and so we grew really close and kind of got to talk through what we wanted to do with this upcoming year and what expectations we had, and then also building relationships with the staff too. And you get a lot more time when there's not 25 girls that they're dealing with, and especially the strength coach too. That was huge, just getting that one-on-one time and working through what was off that was causing me to be injured.
Go to Bradley.
Hey Josey, Brylie Davis with WAET Sports in Jackson. Good to meet you. So, you know, when you look at the polls, right, that have Mississippi State and some of them as last, obviously all these polls have, you know, imperfect information. So what is it about Mississippi State's program that you think the information they're missing whenever they slate shell in that spot?
Yeah, obviously we put in work behind the scenes every single day, and especially this year with this year's group, it's been super competitive from day one, whether that be in the weight room, out on the field, in the cages, or even in the locker room. There's that competitive fire that is sometimes missed just looking at the numbers. And I think just having that drive throughout the entire team, freshmen, transfers, returners, everyone, is going to help push us along and help throughout the season and in conference play.
Go to the right, Doug.
When you're a pitcher, some days you have your good stuff and some days you don't. Can you kind of go through the scenario that unfolds, like when you're talking to your coach, and you know, some coaches believe in, well, I'm going to let you work through it and learn something, or some, well, I want to protect your confidence, so I'm going to get you out there because it's obvious. How do you deal with that, and how do you deal with that with your coaches?
Yeah, obviously in a perfect world, you want all your stuff to be working and hitting all your spots, and so you're walking into a game with that plan A, but you work on your plan B too, you know, especially in the off season when we're doing these scrimmages and stuff. Still, it's the same thing. You're not always going to have your best stuff, so I think that's more so when we build that confidence in not only our plan A, but then our plan B as well. And then during season, like I said, our bullpen this year is really, really good, and so during season, we have multiple people that can come in and relieve if maybe you don't have your best stuff one day.
Benjamin? freshman.
Yeah, you guys got a new pitching coach, like Coach Ricketts was talking about, who's been at the very highest levels of the sport, both as a player and as a coach. So what's it been like so far to learn from Taryn and hear about all she's experienced and what she's got to advise you guys?
Yeah, her knowledge has been huge in the bullpen, and just getting to learn from somebody who's been in our shoes and experienced exactly what we experience every single day, and she knows what it takes to be successful on the stages that we're all working every single day to get to. To get to the Women's College World Series and win a national championship. She knows what it takes to do that, and so having her insight and getting to hear her ideas is you can't find it anywhere or everywhere, and that's been a huge piece, is just getting to pick her brain a little bit and see what it takes to get to that level.
Anything else for Josey? Okay, thank you, Josey.
Thank you.
Thank you.